You've all heard a variety of speakers talk about different subjects, things that they are very passionate about, things that will make a difference if we can get behind them, if we can support them, right? It will make a difference. Now, what I'd like to do is look at things and talk to you today from a banker's perspective. I'm a banker. It's what I do. It's what I know. It's what I love, right? So yes, education is fantastic. It's necessary. Health is necessary. We all have our passions. More than half of my life, I've spent banking, right? When I say I've spent banking, not spent it in banking halls, but as a banker across Africa, right? Financing large organizations, small ones, medium-sized ones, individuals, countries, across the continent. It's what I've been doing for over half my life, the last 30 years. And one of the things that I've learned and I found is that when you apply funding well, we are able to build infrastructure for development. And if we build the infrastructure for development, that enables us to drive economic growth because we have wealth creation, we have employment, and we have business growth. Because if you listen to all the discussions today, right, there are plans, but what those plans need is funding. I'll tell you a little bit about Union Bank. Union Bank, we started 100 years ago as Colonial Bank, and then it became Barclays Bank, and then Union Bank, right? And at the height of our glory days, for those of you of a certain era, right, we're big, we're strong, we're reliable. In the last decade or two, we navigated a tough economic environment in the 90s. We came through consolidation, and then we came through intervention, right? That's the story of Union Bank. And when I came to Union Bank, when I was coming to Union Bank, I was given the opportunity about 5 years ago to lead this organization. And when I was pursuing that opportunity, the question to me was, why Union Bank? Why do you want to leave the comfort of a global bank to a local bank coming out of intervention? The answer to that lies in what Union Bank is about, what Union Bank was about and still is. I said we were big, we were strong, we were reliable, but Union Bank touches virtually everybody in Nigeria. Everybody in this room, I believe, in one form or fashion, whether it's in the past or in the present, has a relationship with Union Bank in some form or fashion. If it's not you, it's somebody who's sitting next to you. If it's not that person, it's somebody who's working for you, right? And I felt that Union Bank, it was possible to regain its lost glory and get on a path for the future. So what I was responding to when I look back was a call to action, right? I saw there was a call to action, and that was what I was responding to. Over the last few years, I'd say the last 5 years, we've spent time transforming the bank, turning the bank into what it is we'd like to see for the future. That's what we spent time doing. And where we are today is that we've come full circle. And having come full circle, right, we're saying we're 100 years old. We have gone through transformation, we have been reborn, right? So what is it that we are looking forward to for the next 100 years? What is our vision for the next 100 years? That's what we're talking about today, right? And we just said we would define our vision for the next 100 years, and that is to be Nigeria's most reliable and trusted banking partner. And how do you define trust? Trust is in everything that we do with our customers. It is in every engagement that we have with our customers. It is in the simpler and smarter solutions that we try to provide to our customers. It's not an easy one to do, but every day we will live by that, right? We will do everything we can to build your trust in us. So why are we here today? Right? Why are we having this conversation today? Today is, again, for me, another call to action. Having listened to what everybody has said, right? Empowering women, educating children, eradicating poverty, there is a lot of work to be done, and there is a call to action. Let me look at things from, from a banking perspective. If you look at the banking industry, there are 30 million accounts, 30 million customers approximately, with 83 million accounts, so an average of 3 accounts per customer, right? So what you have is a situation where you have very overbanked customers on the one hand, and very unbanked and excluded customers on the other hand. As bankers, right, we spend a lot of time, a lot of money, we spend billions, we deploy incredible resources, right, to fight for each other's customers. That's what we're doing, right? We're spending time and effort, and present company included, right? We are trying to eat each other's lunch. That's what we're trying to do. So if there's a different way to think about how do we increase our customers, how do we increase our base, it's something I'd like us to spend a few minutes on. That instead of just looking at how we can take customers from whoever is banking them today, by offering, yes, simpler solutions, smarter solutions, it works to an extent. But ultimately for all of us, if we can increase the size of the pie, we'll do much better. Because if you look at it, right, how do we bring in 10 million, 20, 100 million new customers into the system, right? And it's not just customers, it's consumers. How do we bring more consumers into this environment? Now, Nigeria has a lot of people. We're 180 million people. Some say we'll soon be 220, 200. Some say we'll soon be 450. I've heard very large numbers. But the reality today is that of the 180 million, 62 are poor. 62% are poor. 35% are either underemployed or unemployed. And only 7% of households have 2 income earners. Only 7% of all households. And we're 180 million and growing. So the question that I ask, and the way I'd like us to look at things, is how can we get more consumers created? How can we create more consumers? Because everybody would like to have more consumers, right? If you're selling oil, if you're a manufacturer of, soya oil, if you're a manufacturer, if you sell roofing tiles, you want more consumers. You want more people eating. You want more people consuming. You want more people buying your products, right? So how do we get more of the 180 million people consuming? How do we get more purchasing power into their hands? If we reduce just by half the amount of poverty in Nigeria, we will create over the next 3 years. If we do that in 3 years' time, we will create 60 million new consumers. Just reduce poverty levels by half. 60 million new consumers means 60 million more banking customers. It means 60 million more people buying the products from any of the manufacturers. It means 60 million more people looking for housing, 60 million more people wanting to consume services, 60 million more people with purchasing power is what we create. And then when we do that, the pie becomes much, much bigger. So what is our idea? What it is that we are talking about here today? If you listen to all the speakers today, it is a fund for good. How can we raise a fund that will fund all the activities from a private sector perspective that will eradicate those things that are limiting the number of consumers in Nigeria? One of the questions that we asked the speakers who have come up so far, was if you had 100 billion, 20 billion, 40 billion, what could you do? Would it make a difference? The overwhelming answer was yes. You listened to plans, you saw what could be done, and very clearly, from our own perspective, listening to the people that were up here, right, they have the execution capability. So what is missing is the funding gap, right? Remember, I said at the beginning, what I know how to do is banking, or what I do, right? Banking, finding how to fund financing gaps, right? So that's why we're talking about how do we generate a fund that, if we work together, we can accelerate the pace of development. Because if we attack the root cause of the low number of consumers, right, we will be able to create those new consumers. And looking at the Sustainable Development Goals, number 17, which talks about working together, if we all come together, right, private sector, whether in manufacturing, you're in banking, whatever it is, right, we're all doing things in our own little spheres, right? But if we collectively either find partners that have the same interest or come together, we will be able to make much more impact. Remember, what the speakers were saying is that things are being done, but we need to scale, and we need to scale up exponentially, right? And if we can achieve that, if we can achieve those goals, if we can eradicate poverty, if we can empower women, if we can educate children, if we can do all the things that we've talked about today, we will be able to bring in many, many more new consumers, and we'll be able to achieve prosperity, because prosperity is what it is that we want to achieve. The question is, all these ingredients, are they enough? If we have the plans and we can fund the plans, is that enough to achieve prosperity? It should be. If we, as the private sector, can collectively work to attack the fundamental issues, poverty, education, empowering women, if we can do those things and more, right, we will be able to contribute to prosperity. And in contributing and creating prosperity, we create peace. We started here, at least I started here, talking about prosperity will create more consumers, and more consumers will be good for all of us, right? Manufacturers, service providers, banks. Well, yes, it's in my DNA. That's, yes, we think of things that way. But clearly, there's an even bigger objective that can be achieved. And that's why this call to action to raise 100 billion every year that we can invest in making prosperity possible and consequently peace possible is what we are asking everyone here, and even those not here, to commit to. Now, when we started thinking about this idea, right, we said, let's get a group of like-minded people, right, with shared goals, public and private. Let's get them to work together. But let's also try and identify somebody who can, shall I say, galvanize this group, right, that is independent, so to speak, right? Because yes, this is us, Union Bank, here in front of you. First of all, Union Bank is not putting 100 billion. I mean, we don't have. If we had 100 billion, we put it in. But we don't. But pardon? But what we're trying to do is provide the opportunity for everyone here to reflect and see how they can be part of that coalition. So we thought about this, and like I said, join us in the Next 100 Fund, which is a private sector-led fund to deliver the SDGs. So this is not, there are many people here who have finance hats, whether it's private equity, investment banking. This is not a fund to invest in the markets. This is a fund to deliver the SDGs. That's what we're looking for. And if we deliver the SDGs, we will deliver prosperity, we will deliver peace, and it will still come back as more consumers in a peaceful environment spending a ton of money, and they will need banking services. So it all comes back, it circles back ultimately. I'd like to say, first of all, a very big thank you to all the speakers. Everything, please give them a standing ovation, please. Let us give them a standing ovation. Without their input, we would not have gotten the insights that we've gotten today. I'd like to think that some people, that even the hardest-nosed capitalists in this room, and I see some of them shaking their heads, right? Because I know them. I know a few, right? Are saying, you know what, yeah, it makes sense. That's what I'm thinking, that's what I'm hoping. So thank you, speakers. Thank you very much. To everyone else here, and thank you, His Highness, for coming all the way, for, in particular, adjusting your schedule to accommodate us and staying with us the entire morning. Thank you to everyone here. I hope that we've had an opportunity to learn. I'd like to think so. And as we, at Union Bank, look at the next 100, like I said, we invite you, right? Walk with us the next 100 years. I don't think any of us is going to be around, but just in case anybody here is around in 100 years, at least you will, I hope you will think back to today and say, this is where it all began. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
We would like to say thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for attending the Next 100.